Live yet? There we are. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay today. We're going to get going right away because Mike's got to move along here. And many of you are watching the game. I hope maybe you're joining us today as the game's still going on right now. It's 3-2.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out that they didn't check out the scheduling too well because today's game in Sweden conflicts with the Sweden-Italy World Cup qualifying soccer match.
Oh. Wow, afternoon conflicts, for sporting events during the workday. It's kind of rare.
Yeah, I don't think they're. I don't think
it's nighttime. So
they don't worry about the TV on this game. This game is about what they make at the gate, I think.
Yeah.
True.
And just the goodwill publicity type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been really impressed. Let's start off with the show here, and we're going. Hello, Hockey World. It is Friday, November 10th, 2017.
I'm Michael Agello on location.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching HockeyBuzzcast from HockeyBuzz.com. It's the podcast that comes every Monday through Friday at this time to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And in honor of them playing in Sweden today, I'm wearing my Norwegian ski sweater, which was purchased on my honeymoon in Norway, which means that this ski sweater is almost exactly 20 years old, which is pretty insane. And older. It's definitely older than my children. Probably a lot of you are watching the show. So there you have it. Yeah. So anyway, watching the game, I just want to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go right into the. Actually, let's go to the game stuff. We'll go to Bozak first because Mike's got to leave. The Bozak rumors are out there now. He has fallen out of favor lately, Mike. Is this true?
Well, I wouldn't say fallen out of favor. Basically what's going on is Mike Babcock is rotating players who are not fourth liners on the fourth line. Bozak got his little trip there, but so did Mitch Marner. And actually, they a couple games ago they were the best. They were the best line. It was him, Marner, and Matt Martin that scored I think 3 of the 4 goals against St. Louis last weekend. So now tonight with Matthews out again, he's playing with JVR and with Marner on this. I think it's the second line. And with Matthews out, I mean, they really can't afford to trade Bozak, but when Matthews is back and this is not a serious injury.
Yeah.
I mean, what's likely to happen, because what they've been doing is moving Patrick Marleau to the middle. Babcock does not want Patrick Marleau to play the middle.
Right.
This is all, I would say the Bozak rumors are contingent on whether Mike Babcock is comfortable with William Nylander moving to center, because if they're making a deal with, and you reported Columbus or the Rangers,
yep.
It has to be for a defenseman. And I would lean more towards Columbus. Russ will tell you, I don't think that the Rangers are trading Brady Shea, and they're not trading Tyler Bozak for Nick Holden or Brendan Smith. So I would say if I was to make a guess at who that they would be trading for from Columbus, it would be Ryan Murray, because that's a guy they could hold on to for a couple years.
It doesn't seem like quite. I don't know.
They'd have to give more than that to get.
Yeah, it seems like he's somewhere between. Mm-hmm. Braden Shays and Ryan Murray are pretty similar in my mind as far as value goes. I mean,
Shea's got a lot more offense. He does.
Yeah.
And Columbus has Werenski, who they have got to pay. Murray's an RFA. They're going to re-sign. Jack Johnson. They've got Savard on a long-term deal. They've got Seth Jones on a long-term deal. There's defensive depth in Columbus. Shea is almost untradeable for the Rangers because they really don't have defensive depth other than the guys who are on the roster right now.
Yep.
That's true. I think that defense is definitely what Toronto's looking to get back here. Obviously, that's the deal. And but Bozak has been, he was scratched a couple games at the end of October too, right? Wasn't he sitting in the press box for a bit there? I thought for some reason he was.
Yeah, no, not that I recall. I mean, Dominic Moore was, but not Bozak.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure of this him being in the doghouse thing. I mean, you got to remember he had a career year last year, 55 points. He's a UFA at the end of this year. Trading him would not be him being in the doghouse. It would be asset management, getting something for a guy who's a good player now while he's still got value and he can be with the team for the rest of the season, rather than him falling out of favor. So
Right.
I think that's more. I think that's more likely the motivation. But I think James Van Riemsdyk, I think him, and I think Leo Komarov are all potential trade pieces for them, because I don't know whether there is a lot of hunger to sign them for the type of money it would take to sign them. And
Right.
the Leafs have a lot of youngsters in their chain that they can move up, and that's the other thing. They can move up players who may be almost as good as Bozak, or move players into center like Nylander, and that will be a factor. But they have to get a defenseman. To me, looking at the team so far, their defense is nowhere close to being the caliber that will get them through a round or two in the playoffs.
Yeah, right now I can see that. I mean, I think that what we've seen so far out of them is what you see out of young defense is insane. So I think it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, young defense and Hainsey.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
right.
and
That's a great point.
I wish I had $1 for every time Mike Babcock has talked positive and been effusive in his praise of Ron Hainsey. And don't get me wrong, Ron Hainsey has played well. He's played above expectation.
Well,
But I had some.
great. But he's also just doing what Babcock likes about him is he's doing what you expect a defenseman to do on most plays. That's the thing.
Right, but
They have a tendency to not want to make the simple play up the board sometimes. Like when you watch them, their defense, they want to go. I mean, obviously, it's very tempting when you got the kind of star power you have up front there for a young defenseman. You see Marner or Matthews breaking through the neutral zone, like to try to make him play, try to get to him. Or Hainsey's more likely to maybe but that play can be very risky when you don't see the other guy hiding behind somebody who's going to pick that pass off, right? So
yeah, Hainsey's more of a simplistic defenseman, in the sense that if there's not a play there, it's what an old hockey coach used to say. He used to call it two steamboats, which was one stride, two stride, and then shoot it off the boards and get it out of the zone. Because if you don't have a play, then the only thing that can happen is something bad. And that's honestly with some of the other Leaf defensemen, that's what happens. Guys like Jake Gardner double clutch, hold on to the puck too long, try to be creative, and when they try to be creative, they give away the puck and put themselves in a bad position. And Morgan Rielly has done that the last few years, but he's doing it less now with Hainsey as his defense partner. But I had somebody ask me a question that says, are the Leafs better off with Ron Hainsey over Matt Hunwick, which was basically, Hunwick signed with Pittsburgh, Hainsey was with Pittsburgh, he signed with Toronto. And I said, well, that's questionable, because Hunwick was a number 5 or number 6 defenseman. He was on the bottom pairing, and he played 14, 15 minutes. Hainsey's playing a couple games ago. He played 24 minutes.
Yeah.
But Hainsey's putting up points. Hunwick didn't put up points.
Right, but the only reason Hainsey's putting up points, Russ, is because he's paired with Rielly and they're playing in offensive positions.
But I mean, this is the thing, though. But this is the one thing about Hainsey. No matter who you put him with, he will put up points if you put him with high caliber players. Pittsburgh figured that out. It's not like you could put Matt Hunwick with Rielly and get points. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is you're giving more ice time to a defenseman, I think, who's slightly better, but you're putting him in a position where he's a number 2 and he's getting that kind of ice time. I mean, they would be such a much better defensive core if he was your number 5. Borgman on the bottom pairing, and you had an actual top 4 defenseman in his place. And I think that's where they're going to go if they do make a trade for a defenseman. It's not going to be another bottom pairing guy. It's going to be a top 4 defenseman who plugs in.
I don't think they're going to get it for the assets you're talking about. They're going to really
not for both.
They're going to have to load up on one of those trades to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're not going to get him for a rental player. They're gonna get him for. It's probably going to have to be somebody other than Bozak in the deal. You know, again, Kasper, Kapanen, or somebody.
Yeah. We'll let you go, Mike. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Right. So I want to talk to you, Russ, a little bit about this. The couple things. First of all, the Oilers have recalled Pajärvi.
Okay.
And I just wanted your thoughts on. It's funny because I was talking to somebody about Pajärvi today, and they were saying how what a disappointment Pajärvi is. And I think that's not
It's
fair.
so
right?
soon to say that. I mean, people have to forget where a guy gets drafted, what position, and just look at the player. And the player isn't like physically mature yet, and sometimes not mentally mature on the ice. And that's fine. Look at Brendan Perlini. Look how long Arizona waited for him. He had 2 goals last night.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have to wait for Pajärvi. That just may be the way it is. Not everybody you take in that position is ready to play right away. I think to put those kind of expectations on a player is stupid.
I mean, I think he's suffered by the fact that he was kind of paired with Laine. I mean, like people put him, and they expect, and Laine came in so fast and did what he did. But, and some people at some points were saying who's better, Pajärvi or Laine. I remember all those discussions, those debates, like that. And I think those debates kind of went away, but even by the time they were drafted, it was pretty obvious that Laine was going to be the better player. But now, you expect these guys to come in their first year or their second year and just make huge impacts all the time. Now we see more than ever before, but it's still rare. I think that's
still iffy. I mean, even go back to even Nolan Patrick. Has he really had an impact yet? Not yet.
Yeah, I mean, no, and he's been hurt for a while.
He's been hurt, and so. You hope that a guy is going to make an impact, but you never know. These things are never etched in stone. For every guy that does make an impact, there's another, look at all the guys that were sent down. I mean, you don't have to even go any further than that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I agree. So, I mean, the Oilers last night, I watched a little bit of the game against the Devils last night. I thought it was really it was one of those games that the Oilers can build on. Like if they want to become something, this is a game they can build off of.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And same for the Devils though, because again, this is people had asked me, do I think the Devils are going away? And they're not going away, not yet.
No, they're too fast. I mean, they're too fast to go away. I mean, they
can start to fade in the later part of the season. It wouldn't shock me, but they are. The speed's good right now. The chemistry is good. The goaltending is good. And the defense is better than what it's been. And even the addition of a guy like Drew Stafford was a good addition.
It really was. I mean, it's interesting because I really feel like we're at a turning point on some teams here. Chicago last night opposite coming to Philly.
Yeah, it's a turning point badly for
Yeah, they are pulling out the stops early in the season, like throwing Sharp and throwing that line together of Kane, Taves, and Sharp. Yeah, Taves is struggling so much. I mean, it's just obvious.
Yeah,
he's making bad plays, which you never see out of him. I mean, not that I also think people are saying, oh, he's on the downside of his career. He's still not that old to be on the downside.
No, I don't know if he's on the downside, but in the locker room last night, he was a little iffy with his confidence, and he said so, and he feels like if that team gets some confidence, they'll be better. I think the problem is when they know their defense is as bad as it is.
Yeah.
Crawford has to be that much better. And Crawford played a great game. I mean, I don't care if you think 3 goals isn't a great game. He played a great game.
Crawford, if it wasn't for Crawford right now, they would be completely in trouble.
I
but he's one of the best, maybe the best goalie in the NHL this year, and that team is still struggling.
And I think that defense derails their offense because it's so bad at times that it just for a while they couldn't do anything on the ice. Because defensively, they couldn't make a stop at all.
No, it really is. It's always been a defense that has relied. The Blackhawks defense has been the whole constant theory of your best defense is a good offense. That's what they've always been. And when their offense slips at all on defense, their defense slips.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Seabrook can't skate right now. He can't. I mean, unless something happens with him or he's injured, he can't skate.
He looks injured to me. And Duncan Keith is 34 years old. Like, that's astonishing to me that Duncan Keith is 34 years old, first off. I have to say, I feel like I'm old when Duncan Keith is 34 years old.
And I will tell you this, with Keith, when he was pinching and going pretty deep in the zone to get back, he just makes it in time. It's not like the old Duncan Keith where, we used to marvel. He's getting the mileage on him now. And so he could still play, but to play like that, to be able to cover for everybody and all their defensive woes, he can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and those guys have to be huge. I mean, they have to be. I mean, the Jarmelson loss
was massive.
Was massive. It really was. I mean, and to a lesser degree, the Van Riemsdyk loss has turned out to be important too.
That's a big loss too. It was.
Those two guys, for what it's worth, they were giving them minutes that was enabling Keith and Seabrook to not to play all the time. I mean, I remember covering this team in the Stanley Cup Finals when they had like 3 defensemen and they were going through the finals with 3 defensemen a couple years ago. And those 3 defensemen were, I mean, that's when Van Riemsdyk starts to play better and started to play for them. But even at that point, remember they had it was basically Jarmelson, Keith, and Seabrook, and whoever else they could find. Like they were just. Yeah. I mean, honestly, they made a good move in going out and getting the free agent that they got at the end because he looked pretty good for them. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name.
Rucci, you mean?
No, defensively.
Yeah, he's a rookie. Jan Rudy.
No, not the rookie. The vet Franzen.
Cody Franzen. He did look pretty good, but it's weird that he had such a big role on this team already.
Yeah. On
the power play when they picked him up at the last minute. Like that just shows the desperation for that position. Yeah,
I agree with you completely. I mean, they are definitely a team. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot being made now that I saw something today. XM was talking about it today that if you haven't won 20, if you don't have 20 points by your 20th game, I thought this was an interesting stat. Your chance to make the playoffs are about 18%. So
I don't like that. They try and do this in football where they put the percentages on everything, and then all of a sudden, if a team wins, 10 in a row, it doesn't matter what percentage you placed on them, 10 weeks ago. And so it's the same in hockey. Right now, you're putting a percentage on their first 20 games, but if their next 20, they're, let's say, 90% better, it doesn't matter what their percentage was in the first 20. You know what I mean? It's just
the problem with it is though it's always okay. So someone can be bad for a month and a half, and then they can be really good for a month and a half, and this is always the case. It can end up evening itself out. The problem with being bad first is that if you're bad first, and then so say you're 5-10, and then you go 10-5, and now so you're 500 all of a sudden. Problem is that you've just gone 10-5, and there's going to be a reflex back to not being good again. Like you can't keep that stress. So it's not that you can't catch up and suddenly be back to where you were. It's can you maintain that after you catch up, because you can catch up, but then you have to go forward. And that's why you see a lot of teams catch up, but then hit the wall because you can't keep playing at that level.
Right.
You can't win 2 out of every 3 games all the time. And that's pretty much what you have to do in the NHL sometimes. So right now, and of all these teams, like Edmonton is falling. They should be able to get back into it. But it is amazing to me, and it's really more than anything else is because of the stupid point for an overtime loss rule that you can't get back in this thing when you fall behind sometimes.
Oh, it definitely hurts you.
I mean, I hate that. I will always hate that. Always hate the point for a loss thing, because it really it affects things. It makes teams so bad. Like was it Elliot Freeman a few years ago said if by like November 15th you're behind by 4 points in the playoffs, your chances of making it are almost like 10%. It's just crazy stuff like that. That's for a lot of it's not. And then you sit there saying you can get 2 wins the rest of the way, so you should be able to make those 4 points up. But the reality is you can make those 4 points up, but then you can't maintain that pace for whatever reason. So it's like it's almost
I think the hard thing is you have teams. And there's a handful of teams that game plan to literally play a tight game, and they're okay with going into overtime and getting that point.
Oh, yeah. So many teams are there, and they're especially on the road. I mean, it's just
especially on the road.
Boring hockey for some teams on the road, and that's frustrating. Really frustrating when you go to a game and you watch a team that's just trying to get to overtime.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. Then something has to be done about that eventually. I don't think they ever will, because they in their opinion everything is so close, and that's what everybody wants. But the reality is it's not close. It's not really what people want. We play games for wins and losses. That's why you play a game. You don't sit down and play Monopoly hoping to get a tie. You sit down when you play a game. You play a game. We want to win, or you're going to win, or you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Very frustrating, but I did think there were a couple things last night you didn't see because you were at the game, but I thought that the whole Brian Boyle goal was really touching. That was something.
Yeah, that was nice.
I really have always liked Brian Boyle. I think, he's one of the good guys in hockey. He's always been, I thought last year I was really thrilled when he got traded, despite the fact that Mike wasn't thrilled about at the time.
Well, he didn't really produce for the Leafs, and to be honest, offensively, the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even more, he hasn't produced a whole lot either.
Yeah, but he is such a good locker room guy.
He is.
And I think that matters. I think it matters a lot with New Jersey. And last night, and with young teams especially, he's the perfect guy to bring in.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of that LA Tampa game last night too. Oh my gosh! I mean,
Tampa's a juggernaut.
Tampa's incredible. They're crazy. I mean, LA is a team that's been playing really well.
I brought up something yesterday that you were unaware of because you weren't on the show, right. But Vasilevsky's got the most wins in the league. Kucherov and Ovechkin are top 2 in goals, and Tarasenko's the top plus-minus guy. And for all the people that always, slam Russians,
really interesting.
It's interesting that they're the leaders in a lot of things right now, and Tampa has no problem signing Russians ever or drafting them.
Yeah, no, they never have. And Russians love to go to Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing you have to remember. If you grew up in Russia and you go visit Tampa, you're just going to be you're going to think you've actually reached paradise. Like Tampa's beautiful and warm all year long and just incredible. I mean, it's not a hard place to get a Russian player to play.
No,
at all.
But the thing about Tampa that's really should be scary for some teams and should be the model for others is that even though they didn't make it last year, right? They had that off year,
right?
But for the most part, they're in it every year. They have star players and they have a deep prospect pool. And if you have all those things, like even Mike and I were talking about it offline, and the difference between like them and the Leafs is like Frederik Andersen is not an elite goalie.
Right.
And it's not to say you can't win a cup with them because teams have won a cup with them out of an elite goalie. But when Andersen made it to the conference finals, he had an elite defense in Anaheim, which would still, even if the Leafs picked up 2 defensemen, they still wouldn't be an elite defense like Anaheim was. Like that takes years to get that going. And so Tampa's got an elite goalie and a little better defense than they've had. And that's a really tough formula, man. That's a good formula.
They have the right. They put together the right. I mean, Eisman's done a great job at putting together.
Look how many people killed Victor Hedman for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
He's not developing. How could you waste that pick on him? And, now he's everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember it was the Hedman-Matt Duchene argument years ago that, that they should have went after Matt Duchene.
That went away.
Yeah, that went away quickly. I mean, Hedman is maybe my favorite defenseman in the league. Just for all around things, he is the closest thing you have to like a Chris Pronger. He doesn't hit like Pronger.
No,
but his size and the way he moves the puck and the dominance he shows at times really is reminiscent.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a better puck mover than Pronger and more gifted in that regard. But yeah, he's not as tough as Pronger, but he's also not allowed to be as dirty either. Pronger got away with a lot.
Pronger, I mean, that was definitely a big part of Pronger's game, but just that's when you're at the player that's that smooth that's at that size is just on defense is really can really control the game. There's no two ways about it. Speaking of that, I've been impressed with Landeskog this week in Sweden.
I think the whole team. I mean, I've been trying to tell people since post-trade now that you're looking at this team post-trade, did you see the play that Sam Girard made to set up their second goal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's something they couldn't do a week ago.
I know. Sam Girard is going to be a good player for them. I mean, it's amazing the amount of depth that the Predators have on defense. When they can move players like that.
It is.
And then their players, they've stocked a lot of the teams around the NHL right now with defensemen, it feels like.
And if you remember, we talked about not only that part of it, but when they signed Yakupov, if he could only just get power play time, well, he's getting it. And the great shot never was going to go away. That shot has been there the whole time. It's just that some coaches felt like if you don't play a complete game, you can't play for me.
Yeah.
But he's scoring goals.
I was always we talked a lot on the show when he was available, how much I always believe that someone should take a shot at him. I mean, it was just crazy to me that a player of that ability and not a bad attitude guy either. I mean, a serious, he was it was a wonderful move for Colorado. I mean, just really, literally a steal of a move for them to grab him.
It was. I mean, they made some really good depth moves in the offseason that probably not a lot of people gave enough credit for. We thought that Varlamov would have to bounce back, and he did. And now with this trade, like there's no reason they can't hang around and at least attempt to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that Yakupov, I heard lots of stuff that he wanted to go to Montreal. Montreal had talked to him a little bit as well, that was a possibility. And you don't think Montreal would have liked that now? I mean, that's
absolutely. They need a guy who could shoot like that. And look, he's not going to score 30 goals, but if he gets 20 goals for him, that's a lot.
And he's not bad defensively either. No. That's the thing that people forget about, that he's one of these guys who is actually a good two-way player on top of it. He's just not, the big time scorer, but he could still be very, very solid.
And Tyson Joe still has to get added back into the lineup when his groin injury heals. So that's another guy who was playing well until he got hurt, even though he's a rookie. And so, Colorado is going to be around a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we always knew that they had too much talent to be that terrible.
Yeah.
Bruce Garriock today with a story that was kind of fascinating. In the midst of Ottawa being over there in Sweden, he comes out with that Bettman says the downtown arena in Ottawa is vital to the future of the Senators organization.
They've been saying that for 20 years.
I know they have, but I wonder. But this is the first time that when someone from the NHL says that's surprising. Sometimes
but hear that. We've been to Ottawa. There's not a lot of room in downtown Ottawa.
No, there's not. There's not. In downtown Ottawa, while I think it's important, not that many people live in downtown Ottawa. Like that, I mean, you could say that they live closer.
I mean, they would have to build like a massive parking area, right? Because I remember when they had things for the All-Star game, they had them downtown, right, in like a convention center or something. And you were parking in people's neighborhoods in the slushy snow. Like they don't have parking there. Yeah,
there was no parking, and the downtown is a lot of it's a lot like downtown DC. It's government. It's government buildings and government people, and there's a lot of security because of that reason. So you have it's hard to get around. I mean, it's not like a downtown arena. I mean, there is a downtown arena obviously in DC, which has helped the Capitals, but
but nobody drives to it. You can't.
Yeah, no, everybody takes train to it, exactly. And it's more. I mean, I think you're looking at more of like a train situation would be better. Like an actual way. And there are some suburbs of Ottawa where people do actually live. I don't know the area well enough to say what they are, but I do know that no matter how you slice it, getting to the arena from those suburbs is tough. As far as, and even from downtown Ottawa, I don't think downtown is the key as much as it is just someplace closer to where the fans are.
Right.
Because downtown, like you're right, it's not a big downtown. It's not the kind of downtown where it's bustling with people. After 5 o'clock, it gets empty pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's about that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
I think this is honestly. I think Gary Bettman is just sort of echoing what Eugene Melnyk wants him to. This has been his fight all along, And okay, I mean, I don't think they're going to be rushing to get an arena, though. If you notice, it's getting harder to get arenas built in Canada. Just ask Calgary.
Oh yeah, and that Calgary situation is enormously in flux right now too. That's caught up in like an Islander-esque political squabble right now. That's just nuts. There was it's something interesting here that the Canadians ever called Zach Vakala. So this is this is obviously with Montoya is now hurt, so they needed an emergency backup. They placed Price on IR to do this.
Right? Is it a retro IR thing?
I think so. Even though they came right out and they said, "Oh, he can be back any day," which is like the strangest thing.
That's like a retro thing, yeah.
Yeah, officially goes on IR to free up space. Is what I see. Could be back any day, right? So they are so nervous about talking about Carey Price's injury. It's insane. Like I always wonder about this. I mean, obviously Price's injury is enormously important to this team.
Well, if you remember just a couple of years ago with the whole skating thing, we went through a whole month of charade about that. We knew he wasn't coming back.
I know, but right now they're acting like he could be back any moment.
No, this is different. I think this one's different, but I get that they don't want it to be a focus, but again, it's vital to their club. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. It really is. There's also a tournament going on over in Finland, right? Like a prospects tournament right now.
Yeah, the Five Nations, but I'm not really able to see it. I saw the U.S. lost to Slovakia today, and U.S. doesn't seem to be doing as well as they've normally done. But I don't have a great handle on what's going on right now.
Are these the guys that are going to be in the World Junior Championship?
Yeah, these will be the guys a lot of them that'll be in the World Juniors,
so this
and a lot of them will be draft eligible too.
So this is kind of a tune-up in a way.
Yeah, that one and the Canada-Russia one's a tune-up for that too.
Gotcha.
This one's more of draft guys than actually. Now that I think about it, these are more draft guys than the World Junior guys. Okay. The World Junior guys, there's more of them in the Canada-Russia game, a lot more.
I gotcha.
There'll be some from that, but more from the other.
I gotcha. I tweeted out today a picture which I thought was amazing. That 4-time Olympic medalists and Julie Chu and Caroline Ouellette announced the birth of their first child. Really cool picture. Really cool stuff there. I got a chance to meet these guys when I was covering in Vancouver, and they're just great people. It was really exciting for them. So
yeah, I've met Julie Chu and watched her play a lot, and she was great, and she's a terrific interview too. So I'm happy for them. Yeah,
they really are. I mean, both women's teams are really great interviews, and I know you've been involved with women's hockey a lot too as we go on here, but I got a fun step before we get into tonight's game. Someone said this to me. I thought this was really interesting. So if Jágr scores a goal on March 5th, Jágr plays against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jágr scored a goal last night, right? So if Jágr scores in that game on March 5th, he would have scored goals in the NHL 10,000 days apart from each other. That's like an incredible. Like from his first goal to that goal, would be 10,000 days.
That's interesting. Sure.
I mean, it's a little bit nuts, of course, but still, I mean, it's good. I was glad to see him score a goal last night. I mean, I don't know that it was the best move for Calgary sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he's still not in like mini Minoso territory where he had hits in 5 decades,
right?
But there are those weird things that come and Minoso would literally come out of retirement and play at a way too old of an age just to try and keep that going too. Jágr's not doing that.
No, he's still a factor. And what I really saw a good article about him yesterday, and in his discussions he's had with Johnny Gaudreau, which I think now that's why you bring Jágr into me. Like that's
they're trying to give him that extra push. I hear now. I think what Jágr's saying is a little faulty. Like, hey, he could lead the league in scoring. I don't think Johnny Gaudreau is going to do that, but he certainly can be a top 10 guy.
Right. That's for sure. I agree with you. Getting into tonight's game. Besides the game we have going on right now, which is 3-3 in the third. So that's a fun one.
The thing about this game over there is that they actually are playing on a rink that's abandoned from the SHL, and so it is an NHL-sized rink right now.
I was wondering about that. It is, huh? It did look like an NHL-sized rink.
Yeah, they're not playing on European ice there.
Are there 2 rinks at the Globe Arena? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I just know
I've been to that arena. I've been to that arena. It's beautiful from the outside.
Yeah, it's empty. They don't have a current team there.
Huh.
So they've been having concerts and stuff, but no hockey games.
Yeah, because I was fascinated when I'm watching this because I was expecting, we're going to see a game played on bigger rink.
Nope, same ice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the Panthers Sabres tonight. Bruins Maple Leafs. That's always a good one.
That'll be a good game. I mean, especially without Matthews. This game. The Bruins will play this game pretty tight.
Yeah.
And Leaf fans can remember when they had Tuukka Rask.
Yeah.
Right, Cousin Eddie?
Been a while. Jets, Golden Knights for later on. Islanders, Stars.
We'll see if the Golden Knights can keep that game close, because if the Jets are right and they're getting decent goaltending, they could really blow them out if you think about it.
I mean, the Jets have only lost 3 games in regulation. That's pretty astonishing. They really are.
Again, it's funny. We were talking about teams that have better first lines than the Blackhawks, and the Jets are one of them.
Yeah.
Colorado is one of them. And there's actually a lot of teams that have better first lines now than the Blackhawks, even though we always used to put that in high regard. And the Jets, their first line is devastating.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal. The Knights have come back down to earth a little bit, but this is the Knights finally returning home. So
yeah, and Fleury's just taking shots in practice. He's not even that close yet to coming back.
Man, imagine If they can get
Subban's a little closer. Subban, I think they said, will be back sooner.
Yeah, if they can just hang in there long enough to get Fleury back, that'll be good. And then I guess the big game tonight, with the ones on NHL Network, at least I've been talking about all day, is the Pens Capitals, which is, this is definitely the thing.
This game has changed, though. It's no longer. Yeah, it's no longer like Crosby, Ovechkin, like that thing. To me, that storyline is dead.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I agree, but the storyline of this game is the hatred, though, of the Capitals, because the Capitals have had a couple seasons where they should have won Stanley Cups.
Yes.
The Penguins have knocked them out of the playoffs, so that's a very real thing. The hatred that Washington fans feel, and the hatred that goes on in general there between the Caps and the Penguins. Without the Penguins being in their division, or who knows, the Capitals could have won a couple, and now they'll be kind of lucky if they do win one. It feels like so.
Do you still get the feeling the Penguins are sort of laying in the weeds right now, this part of the season?
Well, yeah. Crosby's not playing well right now, which is interesting. He's definitely kind of having one of those years like Crosby, when he's not very interested for a while, will have. Yeah. He'll eventually turn it on when he wants to. I
just get that feeling that team will just turn it on when they want to.
Oh yeah. This is way too early in the year for them to. It's still preseason mentality with them at this point.
Yeah, it seems that way. But with the Capitals, there's a little bit more urgency because, look, their defense isn't the same. We know it, and even their offense could be a lot better.
Oh, I know. It could be a lot better. For them, when you're playing the Penguins right now, there's urgency, because you are playing the Penguins, and that's something that they have to. Yeah, but the Penguins are really, they're 9-6-2, which is essentially one game over 500 in my book. I know they call it, NHL 500, whatever. They're really 9-8. So, that's nothing. That's not very good for them at all. Lots of games this weekend. That'll be kind of fun. Let's get into some of those. The Oilers Rangers tomorrow. That's gonna be a good one.
Is that one at MSG, or is that one in Edmonton?
That one is at MSG, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That, again, I think everybody's learning you don't want to go to overtime against Edmonton.
Oh, my gosh, no. Dude, that goal yesterday was unbelievable, the overtime goal.
McDavid's just taking over overtime. So, if I'm a coach, I'm doing everything I can to win that game in regulation against Edmonton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, the speed he showed on that, there's absolutely nothing they could have done differently. No. There was no way of stopping them.
This is like NHL open ice now, in the sense that when you played that game, there were certain combinations that it didn't matter who you had, you couldn't do anything. And if those two guys are hot, there's not a team that could field three guys that would matter.
No, totally agree. So the Avs Senators will have their rematch. The game just ended here. I think in overtime for the Sens winning this one. Yep. They'll have a rematch again.
Game for them.
Yeah, it's a very big game for them.
Stone had 2 goals, so that's a big game for Stone. He's got 7 or now 8 goals in 7 games. He's been red hot for them. Again, the thing about the Senators is they draft so well that they don't have to have a lot of superstars in their team. They make them. They produce them.
They really do. No, they really do. They continue to. And they have a lot of players you don't expect to keep coming on as they are. So it's just, Stone is one of the guy who has the unbelievable takeaway numbers. He's ahead of everybody.
Yeah, I think so.
He's so far ahead of anybody else. Takeaway is bizarre. There's one of these crazy statistics. You wonder why the guy isn't, a Selke candidate or something like that with that many takeaways.
Yeah, well, this year he's finally getting a lot of due, and so he'll be an all-star. He's a guy that's getting a lot of praise right now, and he should. He's coming into his own. He is going to get paid too. They're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. That's part of the reason why they obviously moved on
from
Kyle Turris. Yeah, no question about it.
Well, Stone, if you're gonna make the determination of who you're gonna pay, you saw Stone scoring today, in the crease. I'm paying the guy who's in the crease too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a guy who's leading the league in NHL takeaways like he does. Those are huge things. I agree. The Bruins and Leafs will have a back-to-back, so they'll be together again tomorrow. And let's see what other interesting games.
So they're playing in Toronto, then they're playing in Boston.
Yep.
That's not that bad of a trip, though. I mean, that's not terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. And tomorrow night we get the Wild in Philly. The big game for the Flyers
Yeah,
last night.
I won't be there for that one. But Dubnyk just came off a very weird shutout against Montreal because they didn't allow that Hudon goal.
I know that I don't know. You thought that goal should have counted, right?
Yeah, I think that should have counted. But he's coming off a shutout. I don't know. He has a day off, so they'll probably play him. And the Flyers look tremendous against the Blackhawks. And Elliott that was the best game I've seen Elliott play as a Flyer.
Yes.
So this could be a really good matchup. It could. And they both need the points. I mean, neither team is like a fat cat. So I think it'll be a good game.
Totally agree. And tomorrow night we get the rematch of the Stanley Cup. Penguins may visit Nashville. So that'll be fun. Maybe that'll bring some the Predators are playing better as well. The Penguins are,
But is that the Hockey Night in Canada game?
Is it the Hockey Night in Canada game? What would be that? I don't think so. I think
because there's no Canadian team, so they're going to show Leafs Boston.
Well, you also have Buffalo at Montreal.
Oh, so it'll either be that or Leafs Boston. It'll be the Hockey Night in Canada, but that is the best game, that the Penguins Nashville game.
Yeah, and then you Canucks San Jose, Jets Coyotes late at night. So you'll probably get one of those will be your doubleheader game for Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah. Now we don't hear how is it working with the anthem now in Nashville. Like they're not getting nearly as much press regular season as they were in the Stanley Cup. Like, are they getting any big names? Do we even know?
That's a good question. I don't know. The guy who was doing it is gone, right? The guy who did it most of the year last year is gone. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good question.
I'm trying to look it up to see if they've had anybody of note, or is it just like all wannabes?
Yeah, we'd have to talk to our buddy Paul about that one. He would tell us for sure.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks will visit. We will be home Sunday night against the Devils. They try to get their game back together, and then you get the Lightning and the Capitals, the Ducks. No, I'm sorry, the Lightning and the Ducks, the Caps and the Oilers, Sharks and the Kings. So that's Sunday. So yeah, Sharks and Kings are always a good one. So a bunch of games, and I like when these games are spread out like they are. It seems like there's a bunch of games to watch here, which is very good. Well, appreciate you all guys waiting today for the show to start later. We apologize for that delay. We'll be back again on Monday, and enjoy the games tonight. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you soon. So funny. There's my phone. That's awesome.